Hey friends, Dr. Renee Tucker here. I'm a holistic equine veterinarian for over 30 years, and I'm also the developer of Tucker BioKinetic Technique and Energy Technique for alignment of horses and other animals too. We've been talking on this Horse Mystery Solved podcast about different disease processes and how to fix things. Today, I'd like to talk about a couple of things that generally we think are impossible to fix. And those two are scar tissue and clubfoot. Okay, so let's start with scar tissue. Now, obviously, scar tissue is a good thing. If we have a cut through the skin, we need the body to make scar tissue to hold the tissue together, which is awesome. The thing is, as you know, over time, scar tissue usually softens and gets smaller unless, raised and angry. And the skin in the area becomes soft and movable, more functional. Sometimes that doesn't happen. A long time ago, I met a lady at a park. We had a pool and we had our kids there. I have two boys and I happen to have two C-sections. Don't get me started on the C-sections. Okay. Anyway, she had also had a C-section and she, you know how moms talk. She said, "Hey, your scar tissue from the C-section?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I thought she was going to talk about, her bathing suit or something. But instead she's like, "Is yours too tight?" I'm like, I don't think so. And she said, "My scar tissue is so tight, I can't stand up straight." I was like, oh my gosh. And I believe her child at the time was 18 months, maybe 2 years even. So it had plenty of time to soften up. She goes, "Yeah, I don't know what to do, but I'm going in for massage and stuff like that to try to help it." I'm like, wow, that is an example of when scar tissue, I don't know, doesn't get the message that it's supposed to continue to soften and stretch and become as normal as possible. So that's the key to why some scar tissue, that area doesn't become functional again. Often it does, sometimes it doesn't. Perhaps you've seen a horse who has a scar tissue injury and they might be short-strided or maybe unwilling to bend. All kind of different symptoms happen when you have tight scar tissue. And by the way, you can even have scar tissue anywhere in the body. For example, if your horse had a big trailer accident and unbeknownst to you, they got a little tear in their liver, for example, they can have scar tissue in their liver, which is crazy, right? But it would just decrease the functioning a little bit. Not that you'd ever notice, and you're not responsible for everything, okay, guys? I don't want to make y'all worried. But I'm just saying the scar tissue can be anywhere in the body, not just where we can see it. Okay, so then normally, ideally, it decreases over time and the function of the area comes back. However, sometimes the body, I don't know why, but the body just starts thinking that scar tissue is fine, that it is normal, and it just leaves it alone. So it doesn't progressively improve. This is when, for TBT, we can fix this. So with TBT, Tucker BioKinetic Technique, it's an energy technique. So we connect with the body's like immune system and the innate healing mechanisms. And we just kind of have a conversation. And we don't like psychically do this, okay, guys? And we're not really using these words. I'm just trying to tell you the story. All right. So we have this conversation of, hey, body, what is the perfect normal? Because you're thinking this scar tissue is fine, but it's not fine. What's the perfect normal? How was this originally designed? And believe it or not, all of a sudden the body will be like, oh, right. Oh, yeah, I remember now. It's supposed to be a lot different than this. And it will start working on it again. I don't know if it just gets busy or it just stalls out when these scar tissues just stop improving, but TBT can help that start working again. Before I forget, you can also get some decent results with red light therapy and acupuncture and healing touch. Those are the ones I'm aware of. I'm sure there's more that can help you with scar tissue getting functional again. So I'd like to tell you a cool story. One of my TBT students, she had plantar fasciitis so bad years ago that it was so painful. She would be woken up multiple times a night from pain in her foot, couldn't sleep. So she actually had surgery and had a bone removed from her foot. You know what, guys? You got to do what you got to do. So at this point now, she came into the TBT. This is module 4 out of 5 when we do the scar tissue. And she said her foot just was like a solid block. She wouldn't say, oh, it was like all scar tissue, but because she had the plantar fasciitis and then had surgery, which itself leaves more scar tissue, it was such a mess in her foot. So she basically walked like her foot was a club, just one solid piece. So the coolest thing ever, guys, she worked on her foot herself, her very first practice doing TBT scar tissue work. And she had this pink scar on the side, the instep of her foot. And we all saw it. We saw it go down because it was a little bit raised, about 50%. And it absolutely got less pink and angry. It started chilling out right away. Okay. Now, often we do not see this happen right before our eyes, but it was so cool. And of course, that's why I remember it and tell the story. So most of the time when we're working on scar tissue, I would say maybe half the time, there's an immediate result. It's like the body resets so many connections inside of it. And I don't even know what they all are, but the scar tissue relaxes right in front of your eyes. And then the other 50% needs to process, take some time. And it may certainly take more than one treatment to do this, depending on the extent of the scar tissue. My point is here that I want to change our view of things that seem and have always been assumed to be impossible, like chronic scar tissue. We see it or we feel it and we just think, well, that's it. Nothing else to do. That's how it's going to be from now on. It's not true. It can be fixed, guys. So whether you do it with TBT or anything else, just change your mind, like reset your expectation to that scar tissue can be helped. It can be helped to the extent that whatever area that scar is in can be functional. Okay, you may always see a little scar, and that's fine, but we just want the area to be totally functional and not stuck or stiff or in pain because of scar tissue. Okay, hopefully that changed your mind about scar tissue. Now, let's talk about the clubfoot in the horse. Okay, most people believe, and I was taught in vet school, that clubfoot is something you're born with, and that's that, and you just deal with it. Not true. Once again, I would like to reset our expectation from clubfoot, you got what you got, just deal with it, to clubfoot is just a symptom of something going on inside the foot. Here's my 2 cents. Here's what I see over years, okay? About 30% of apparent clubfoot, 30%, guys, is the trim. Now, I'm not yelling at any farriers, okay? I'm just saying the trim itself is making the horse look like it has a clubfoot. I'd say that's about 30% of the time. Another 30% is the alignment of the bones in the foot. So people got 26 bones, but the horse, luckily for us, only has 3. So we call them different names, P1, P2, P3, which is the easiest way to say those, but they're also called the coffin bone, the pastern bone, and the fetlock bone. They're called more things too, but let's leave it at that. Those 3 bones are supposed to be in alignment in a perfectly straight line. And if you have a perfectly straight line in those bones, generally, you have a perfectly straight line externally when you're looking at the foot to the fetlock. Should be a straight line. Okay, if any of those 3 bones are misaligned, then it actually does make sense that it may tweak and add an angle to the foot that makes it look like a club foot. So this can be fixed in many different ways. Generally speaking, an experienced chiropractor can fix this bony alignment in the foot. They need to be an equine chiropractor, you know what I'm saying? Or at least have experience with horses and know that there's 3 bones in the foot. But an equine chiropractor can fix that. Certainly TBT can fix that as well. I'm trying to think of anything else I know. Offhand, I'm not thinking of anything else modality-wise that would have fixed that. You can see it on x-rays. I see plenty of x-rays come through my computer. I'm like, well, there's more misalignments in the foot than you can shake a stick at. Happens all the time. They just need to be realigned. Okay, that's about 30%. And then last 30, maybe 40% is something is pulling them out of alignments. So that really could be anything. Most of the time, it's ligaments. There might be a ligament that's too tight, pulls that front part of the foot forward, or a ligament that should be tight and it's too loose. So it's not holding the foot in the correct position. So those are my most common things. I realize that many of you may be thinking of the extreme outlier examples of, oh my gosh, this mare has a club foot and she has thrown 20,000 foals and every one of them had a club foot. Okay, I understand that. I'm just saying that can still be fixed. You may think I'm crazy, but I'm here to be crazy. I am here to tell you guys with energetical techniques, you can get down to the quantum energy atomic particles and talk to the body and get them back to perfect normal. I know it sounds strange, but I just want to change your expectation that the things that we believe in and the things that are our normal acceptance of problems can be totally changed, because we can just, instead of staying at our traditional medicine level, let's come up to our energetical medicine level, which ironically goes down into the subatomic particles, and therefore you can fix all of it. So like I always say, TBT can fix anything given enough time. And what I mean by that is, if a horse has had a problem for 30 years and it's 40 years old now, we might run out of time to fix all the problems. However, given enough time, we can fix anything with a really great energy technique. But my point today is just changing expectations. Things that we think are impossible to change, such as some scar tissue or the club foot, it can be changed. All right. So I hope y'all enjoyed that and have new hope for fixing things. And I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.